Hi there everyone, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me again today for another card making video. And today we're going to be making a variation of this card here. Okay, so I'm going a little bit sort of vintage, if you like, with this style of card today. Not my normal sort of style, but I wanted to do something with the Perennial Postage dies. Okay, and create something of a topper with those. Okay, so that's how we've created this. The feature image is this lovely image from Enduring Beauty. So this set is a sort of little super bundle, if you like. We have photopolymer stamp set, we have coordinating dies, and some layering masks as well. So you can pop through my channel and see some projects of that. So that's what we've used there. But for the sentiment, I've gone to the Perennial Postage bundle itself and taken one out of their selection of things that could work. Okay, on this one I've used I Can't Thank You Enough, and we're going to use the Sending Love and Best Wishes for the sample we're going to make today. So that's the Perennial Postage cling stamp set. Okay, and these are the coordinating dies. So as you can see, that one's just fallen off there. We've got a selection of dies in this set. Now on the little package it will tell me how many there are. There are 12 dies in total. So we've got a couple of squares in there. Okay, and we've used this small one today, and then we've got some smaller rectangles and then some larger ones that we can do some layering with. This one's like a little ticket, and then we've got these guys that create eyelets for like tags, and this guy embosses like a franking sort of stamp, and it's actually got a little butterfly on it. Because it was on upside down, there's a little butterfly in that, which is very, very cute. So that's the die set that we're using. Like I say, it was the smallest square that I've used to create the background on this card. So of course this is for a UK sized half A4 card. So if you're in the United States, you might find that there's a slightly different sort of look to this, and you might be able to fit some of the other ones on. So this is what we're striving for today. So I have done a little bit of stuff ahead of time because, you know, there's a fair bit of die cutting and stuff. So what I've already done is die cut 6 of those squares, which I've already temporarily secured to some grid paper. So what I've just done is just used just a teensy bit of stamping seal, and then use my finger to take off most of the stick just to secure them onto this grid paper. And I've actually used Very Vanilla. I don't use Very Vanilla a lot, but wanted to go for this more sort of, like I say, vintagey look. So that's what we've used today. So I would say that it's probably easiest to do this with a stamp positioning tool, if you have one. If not, you can hand stamp it. But like I say, I like to make life easy for myself, so I'm going to bring in mine and just pop that in there. And I've already positioned the stamp ready for inking there. So that's just off on the left there. Oh, you can see it, yeah. I'll leave that like that then, shall I? There we go. And so this one, we've used copper clay, generally speaking. So that's the card base, the ink for the background, so that's copper clay, and a little bit here, and these are copper clay little enamel dots. Okay, we're going to switch this out for pecan pie. So copper clay is in colour, pecan pie is in the main Stampin' Up colour collection. This one came in as a new colour, and kind of replaced soft suede in the lineup. Okay, but it's a nice brown. So I'm just going to ink that up and pop that over. And so you can hand stamp this. This stamp is too large for an E block. You would have to use the F block if you're going to hand stamp this. But if you've got a stamp positioning tool, then that would be what I would recommend. Okay, so giving that a nice rub over, and because we're going for a more of a like a vintage look, if it didn't come out perfect straight away, then that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Just gonna wipe off that excess ink, and we can pop that to one side. Okay, so at this point we can, because it's already put onto some backing paper and some scrap paper, we can actually use a blending brush and just add some colours to this. Now this one's still got a bit of that copper clay on it, so I'm just going to rub that off a little bit and re-ink that a little bit. But I want most of the ink off, I only want just a little tiny bit. Now that looks like I'm wasting loads of ink, but I barely touched the ink pad, and say that they last a real long time. So I'm going to go around the edges of this like so, and of course it's going to catch that texture really beautifully. If you wanted to, you could use sort of a wet brush or what's it called, Wink of Stella, to sort of watercolour that image a little bit. If you want a nice soft blend, hold your brush further down, don't hold the brush head. Okay, and then I'm just going to go across those sort of joins there, just to catch those corners as well, and sort of leave those middles a little plainer. So it's real super subtle. You could spritz it and all sorts of things if you want to as well, just to give it that more aged look. But that gives us that sort of distressed and vintage sort of sepia look, if you like, for our card. So I don't think I need that anymore. No, I don't. So I'm going to pop that to one side. Okay, and because, like I say, I used that stamping seal, I just used a little teeny tiny bit on there. And as I took most of the sticky off, we're going to now place them onto a piece of Very Vanilla. This is bigger than I need it to be, okay, so that we can get the spacing right and then trim it to fit. Okay, so if you try and sort of trim it ahead of time, you can run into problems with your layering, because if you don't quite line them up properly, you know, you might end up with things that are off. So I've opted to go with a larger piece to cut down afterwards. All right. So we're going to just basically take off each of these pieces. So if you just lift it and sort of give it a bit of a twist, it'll come off. Okay, which way around are we doing this? Okay, and then I'm just going to pop a fresh bit of seal. I like seal. If you like wet glue, use wet glue, whatever adhesive you like. So I'm just going to position this first one up here. It's a square piece of card, so I'm just looking to get that border nice and lined up. And basically we're just going to make like a little jigsaw out of these pieces. Okay, so just leaving a gap between each one. I thought it was kind of reminiscent of, you know, when the post office sort of releases like commemorative sets. Isn't there a Spice Girls one out at the moment? I thought I saw something that was the Spice Girls. Does that mean the Spice Girls are like 20 years old or something? Because that's kind of, that shows my age a little bit, doesn't it? But yeah, I seem to recall that was going to be a set. Okay, so we just carry on building up those like so, and then that just gives us that kind of pop, if you like, and shows off that that stamped edge, that sort of ink blended edge, I should say, not stamped edge. Okay, so just looking to get those as even as possible, and if they look even to the naked eye, that's great. I'm not going to be getting out a tape measure or a gauge or anything to make sure these are lined up. It'll be roughly right. Okay, so that's the last one going in there, like so. And then I just like to turn it over and just give that a really good press. Make sure that's really nice and secure. Okay, and now we can trim that down on our trimmer. Okay, so the Stampin' Up trimmer, I'm hoping there's not too much glare where I need you to see. Okay, so I'm trying to get that outside that ring light there. Okay, so what I want to do is line this up so that I can get this cut down. So I'm going to, it's really hard to see on camera, but there's like a groove, a gap that kind of lines up with this dark grey cutting groove thing for the blade. Okay, and then so where the perspex sort of ends and it kind of opens out into that aperture, that's where I'm lining up the edge of that card. I can the die cuts, I should say. The die cuts on top of the card are just about peeking out in there, and I can see that's roughly straight. It's not exactly straight, but it's near us. Okay, so that's where I'm lining that up, and that's going to be super difficult for you to see, but I hope you get the idea. Okay, I think you might be able to see just here, that's where the groove is. Yeah, okay, right, and then move your blade out of the way, and I'm going to come and cut that down, and that will give me roughly the border that I want. That's not far off actually. That's better than the original one. So do the same again, just going to line that up so I can just see the edge of those dies through that aperture and cut again. Okay, may not be super perfect, but it's going to be as close as darn it really. Okay, so that's that. So just to tie everything in, I'm going to where did that I don't know where that other grid paper went, but we'll just bring out this one. So again, we'll just use a little bit of residual ink just to knock back the brightness of that a little bit. Just a little bit. Don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to keep that brightness, just keep it. It's barely there, but it makes a difference in real life. And the other thing that's nice to do is to go around the edge with the coordinating ink. You can do that with a Stampin' Right marker or a Stampin' Blend, or even the ink pad. If you're very, very careful, just don't press the card into it, you'll damage the foam. So if you run around the edge of the cardstock, because you've cut it, it'll bleed in a little bit, which is just fine. Okay, and if you want to go around it a couple of times, get that ink going. And I would recommend that you have the wrong side facing your dominant hand. So I'm holding it this way, and of course most of you are going to be right-handed, so I would hold it this way if I was right-handed. And that's because if you slip, you're going to go across the back and it isn't going to show on the front. Okay, so that just helps pop everything up, but those last couple of steps are completely optional. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Okay, so I did the layering on early espresso on the main card, so I'm going to stick with that for this one. So all the neutrals coordinate really nicely, so we'll pop that on, and we're going to do exactly the same thing with the trimmer, because we didn't know exactly how big that was going to end up. So if we do exactly the same thing, line it up so that I can just see the edge of that very vanilla layer. Ooh, just about see it, and cut. That's going to give me my border, which is roughly maybe just short of 1/8 of an inch. Okay, scraps there, which are great. So that's what we look like right now. So I'm clattering and banging, just making sure that that's going back where it needs to be. Okay. Right, we can now add our bits and pieces to this. So I'm going to bring in these Baker's Twine Essential Pack. I think there would be some black in here, but I think I've used up all the black. So we can pull out something from there. I think I was toying with the idea of bringing in the crumb cake one, but I think we'll stick with the vanilla. It'll just add some texture, really, and again, totally optional. You could use ribbon, you can do whatever you like. This is just merely a serving suggestion. Linen thread. We've got some of that elegant trim that's in gold. That would look nice too. So whatever takes your fancy on that. I'm going to wrap that round 3 times and crisscross it over. Like so, and I've just secured that with a bit of seal, and we'll just trim that off. This stuff lasts ages, get so much on the roll. Okay, so that's that, and we'll pop some dimensionals on the back of this. Okay, so we want this nice and supported, so we won't skimp on those. And I think we'll put one in the middle there as well. So I've got plenty of those on. And we're going to be putting this onto a pecan pie card base. Okay, so let's get all those backings off. So my other little top tip for making sure that we get this positioned where we want to is to just pop a bead of glue onto those dimensionals, which just keeps those just gives you that moment or two before it grabs, and just a little bit of glue over those little ends there. That'll just obviously that will dry and just help keep those in place as well. And of course we can hover over there. We've just got a touch of wriggle room. And as long as it's even on the left and right, even if it's a little high or a little low, then it'll look just fine. So there we go. So once you're happy, just get that pressed down, and that glue's going to set quite quickly. But it just gives you that moment or two just to make sure it's all nice and squared up. So the only thing now is to add our sentiments. So I've just got, this happened to be an offcut from my scrap bin. I don't even know how wide it is. It's not even a whole measurement of anything, it just must have been an offcut, so it's just short of 3/4 of an inch, that is. But you know, I'm not going to fuss with it, I'm just going to use it as it is, and just use what you've got. If you want it to go skinnier, you can go skinnier. I don't know whether I will. Shall I cut it down? Yeah, go on then. So the trimmer allows you to get quite nice and tight with this. So because it's quite a skinny sentiment, I think I might take it down to 3/8 of an inch, which I can do very easily on this. It's really good for little tiny skinny things. We can use our paper snips just to cut a little fishtail in there. So if you just snip in and then cut in from the edges. Oops, preferably in the straight line. You'll get your little fishtail banners. Okay. So what I like to do is do one end, position everything, and then cut it down to size afterwards. So this is one of those sentiments that I was telling you about from the Perennial Postage stamp set. I've stamped this in early espresso to coordinate with the layering piece, and I've just fussy cut around that. Okay, you could use another one of the Perennial dies if you wanted to, but I thought it might be a little bit of overkill to use another one when we've got so much going on with everything else. Okay, so I'm just going to use a bit of seal to secure that. So I just want this to peek out from behind there. So let's cut that about here, guesstimation, and cut another. That's not even straight, and that's not even straight either. That's better. And then we'll do exactly the same at this end with a little fishtail banner. We do have the pick a banner punch if you wanted to use that as well, or various other little tricks to make sure that you can get that secured. So that's going to go across that card just like so. Just pop those away. Okay, and then we can pop a couple of mini dimensionals on along the bottom and top edges of that. So I'm just going to pull those in. So that's going to straddle the twine that we've put on. So dimensionals aren't going to want to stick particularly well across a textured surface, just because of the nature of that adhesive. It's any dry adhesive like that isn't great on textured surfaces. So by placing them sort of along that top and bottom edges, it means they'll stick directly to that cardstock rather than over the actual twine. And it breaks the edge, it ties everything together. Alright, and then for embellishments, I thought I'd use these Neutrals adhesive backed sequins. These are called. Do you know what? Can't honestly, hand on heart, say whether these are in the annual catalogue or not. But raid your stash, have a look what you got. I think I might go for these darker ones to sort of bring in that early espresso kind of look. That's what they kind of look like to me. So let's grab my wonderful beaded pokey tool that I was thrilled to receive at a craft retreat, which was amazing. And I think I might put a few more on this one. I only put 3 on the other one, but I think I might go a little bit bananas on this one. Let's just have a few more, just to zhoosh that up. Okay, so there we go. Those look pretty. Okay, so there's a bit of texture, a bit of lift on it. Really, really cool. So that's pecan pie with splashes of early espresso, and this one was the copper clay version. Okay, so this one I did sort of do a little bit of blending over the top, but I wanted to keep this one a little bit more simple. So you know, it's sort of a case of, you know, pick your colour and run with it. I think it would work equally well with other colours as well. I've just opted for this small vintage theme. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that today, and that's given you some more ideas on how to use these dies. I don't think it's immediately obvious what you can do with them necessarily, but I hope that's really helped you. Hope you're staying safe. Take care out there. Don't forget to drop by the description. There's loads of links in there to my blog and the shop, and if you want to have a look at anything in more detail. That's it for me for today. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.